The final exam is tomorrow. You have to pass. But somehow, it's 3 a.m. and you're still playing a video game. Or maybe a huge deadline is right in front of you. It's pressing on your chest. Yet you're scrolling through TikTok, telling yourself, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes becomes 3 hours. This is self-sabotage. It's the act of undermining your own goals. Most of the time, it looks like procrastination. But sometimes it's quieter, subtler. Like imposter syndrome, the fear that one day someone will expose you as a fraud. And that fear can make you destroy the very opportunities you worked for. Here's the hard truth. These behaviors aren't random. They're not accidents. They're strategies. Strategies deployed by you, against you. And if this feels personal, if it feels like you're broken, you're not the exception. You're the rule. Studies show that 62 to 82% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point. In universities, up to 95% of students admit they struggle with procrastination. Self-sabotage isn't rare. It's built into the factory settings of the brain. But not everyone experiences it the same way. Imagine a spectrum. On the far right, the red zone, are chronic, life-altering patterns that repeat no matter the situation. Around 15 to 20% of adults live there, sometimes linked to neurobiological differences like ADHD, where breaking the pattern feels nearly impossible. But most of us, around 60 to 80%, live in the gray zone. We function. We survive. But when the stakes rise, when something really matters, we start doing the very things that guarantee failure. So wherever you are on that spectrum, the goal is simple. Move left. To do that, we need to understand the code running the system. You might wonder, if this is so common, there must be a reason, right? We often think the brain is a pleasure machine, chasing dopamine. But that's not its primary job. Your brain is a prediction machine first, a pleasure machine second. Its job isn't to make you happy. It's to keep you alive. To survive, it must predict what comes next. So it builds an internal model of reality. In the past, this was about physical threats. Today, it also includes your identity, your worth, your competence. Picture a graph. On the vertical axis, competence or worth, your brain draws a flat horizontal line. That line is your internal baseline. It represents how capable or safe your brain expects you to be. And the brain's biggest fear is not failure. It's discovering that this line is wrong. When reality moves too far above or below that line, a gap appears. That gap is called a prediction error. To your primitive brain, that gap equals danger. Self-sabotage is the strategy used to close it. It shows up in two main ways. First path. High, but fragile self-esteem. Your internal baseline is set very high. I should be highly competent. But reality is messy. Exams, reviews, feedback. They might prove otherwise. So instead of risking data that could disprove your identity, you prevent the data from being collected. You self-handicap. You stay up all night. You start last minute. You drink before the presentation. Now if you fail, it wasn't you. It was the circumstance. But if you succeed, you're a genius. By sabotaging performance, you protect the baseline. Second path. Low self-esteem. Impostor syndrome. Here, your baseline is low. I'm not good enough. But reality contradicts it. You get promoted. You're praised. Now success creates the gap. And that gap feels unsafe. So you lower expectations. You tell people you're overwhelmed, sick, not ready. It protects you temporarily. But slowly, people begin to see you as fragile. You trade long-term growth for short-term safety. Because predictable failure feels safer than uncertain success. Even when you understand all this, why is it still so hard to change? Because this isn't just psychological. It's biological. When the gap appears, the amygdala, your brain's threat detector, sounds the alarm. Uncertainty becomes danger. Your rational brain gets pushed aside. You're in fight or flight. At the same time, the brain's brake pedal, the right inferior frontal gyrus, is supposed to stop impulsive behavior. But for many people, that brake feels soft, spongy. So panic takes the wheel. And the brakes barely work. That's the experience. Losing control. The people who overcome this don't eliminate fear. They recalibrate their baseline, so the alarm doesn't scream so loudly. That's the goal. And you don't need a $300 course. You need a pen. Step 1, retake the wheel. When anxiety hits, write. I feel tightness in my chest. I'm having the thought that I will fail. This is cognitive diffusion. When thoughts stay in your head, you are the emotion. When you write them, you observe the emotion. Distance appears. And distance weakens panic. Step 2, bypass the broken brake. If you're a perfectionist, use the bad draft protocol. Your goal for 20 minutes. Write the worst garbage imaginable. You can't fail at writing garbage. The alarm quiets. Momentum begins. If you're easily distracted, use WOP. Wish. Outcome. Obstacle. Plan. Identify the real obstacle. Then write an if-then plan. If I walk through the door, then I put my phone in the drawer. You preload the decision. Third tool, urge surfing. When the impulse rises, don't fight it. Measure it. It's an 8 out of 10. Wait 2 minutes. It's a 6. Urges peak and fall within about 20 minutes. By not acting, you strengthen the brake. You train it. Step 3, close the gap. Run behavioral experiments. Instead of assuming failure, test it. If I show unfinished work, people will think I'm incompetent. Send it anyway. Collect data. Reality is often kinder than your prediction. Then challenge the baseline. When the voice says, I'm incompetent, put it on trial. Ask for evidence. Force your brain to acknowledge wins. And most importantly, redefine mistakes. Instead of, I'm an idiot, write. This is data. When mistakes become information, they stop being threats. The alarm quiets. And sabotage loses its purpose. So here's the path. Manage emotion. Bypass the weak brake. Recalibrate the baseline. You don't have to do everything today. Start with 1 page. 1 emotion written down. Every time you pick up that pen, you move slightly left on the spectrum. You close the gap. You teach your brain that the world is safer than it assumed. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about taking the wheel back. Slowly. Gently. I hope this gives you something practical to try. Next time, we'll explore how this same pattern shows up in relationships. Until then, take care.